Everybody, it's Libby again with WootRecruit, and we are continuing on our series of the Profit Flywheel for recruiting. And Chris, you want to introduce yourself? I'm going to get us set up. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to jump right in.
Yep. So I'm Chris. I am the CTO of WootRecruit. That's the Chief Technical Officer. So I am everything systems, everything keeping that engine running, getting the right processes in front of the right people.
So in our prior video, we just covered scheduled interviews. And in this one, we're going to cover the popular trend right now of the high no-show rate, no-shows, the shows and no-shows. What does that look like? What's healthy? What's not healthy? How do I improve it? What are the contributing factors that contribute to my show rates?
So I want to give a little teaser here is if you think your show rate is bad, it might not be as bad as you think it is.
So, what is show rate? So I like to give the definition of what each topic is so that you can be aligned with what we're teaching. So what is show rate? It's the number of candidates who attend their scheduled interview. Why is this important? Well, because we need them to show up, right? It's critical for maintaining that smooth recruiting process. We need them to show up because we need a certain amount of shows so that we can pick good culture fits for our company, because there's a percentage of people who show versus the percentage I should be giving an offer to. We'll talk about that in the offer video as well, coming up soon. And what are the contributing factors? Let's look at it. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to dive in and look at a couple percentages and what is that. So we went from scheduled to showed. And here, this person has a 37% show rate. This person here has an 83% show rate. And this person here has a 30% show rate.
Yes.
And so if you notice in all of these three examples, I will say that this is a $2 million company, maybe 2.5. This one is $1.5 million. And this one is, I think, about a $750,000 company. We're all different in certain, we're like good in one spot, need to work in another. And this is a really great sign to tell me like, oh gosh, there's a gap here. Something's broken. We need to fix it. When you look at these percentages, because I would love 100% show rate, like who wouldn't? So let's dive into what are the contributing factors? What influences show rate?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. This episode might be like 30 minutes long.
I love this topic, honestly, but we'll try to knock it out one by one without going too far too soon. So number one would be just in terms of the timing is right. This is where, it fits well into their lives at this moment. I think we gave the example on one of our last explanations that, you have a couple or spouse that has a child they care for. And was the time that they scheduled that interview for, again, maybe there was only 1 or 2 time slots available. Was that time slot, again, coming into the actual day of the interview, was it still relevant to what fit into their lives at that moment? I think that can be huge, especially if you're talking about things like timing of the day, traffic. I love the example of, for those in the home service business, I know that there's a lot of mothers that do have other responsibilities where they're taking care of their kids, and the later it gets in the day, there's more that you have to do that keeps piling up. So even though something might look like a good idea in the beginning, it ends up that life just doesn't pan out the way you want it to on that day that you had something to commit to.
And I would like to take it from there because it's convenient timing. So here's the thing. It may have been a convenient time when they scheduled the interview, but as human beings, as fathers, mothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, parents, siblings, you name it, it may not be convenient anymore on the day of that interview. And what does that mean? So one thing I want to share is that, I'm a business owner. I have a home service company. We have a no-show rate. It's not that high. We have a no-show rate. But here's the thing. A lot of people get really pissed off because they have, these people know they're not showing up. Everybody sucks. Nobody's good. But you have to be conscious of what's happening around you. Conscious that also maybe it's not convenient for them. right? Maybe something more important happened. And guess what? There are a lot of more important things than an interview because there's no commitment yet. You have not committed to them and they have not committed to you. So if my daughter's sick, I get a flat tire, I don't feel good, I had a bad day, it's no longer convenient. And so as business owners, we have to stop getting offended by the people no-showing us. COVID changed all of our lives, all of our mindsets, us as owners, also employees, everybody. And what it taught everybody was, I'm the most important thing at this time. I, as in me, as in them, right? As in you. And so is it selfish? It could be, but we're all operating that way, right? You don't have any business owners. I say, well, I want to do Zoom interviews because it's more convenient for me. Well, is it convenient for you or is it convenient for the business? Is it the best thing for the business? But again, it's convenient for you. That's why you're choosing it. That's fine. The Zoom interview. So what I'm saying is with applicants, they're choosing maybe to not show up, right? Because maybe that time is no longer convenient. The world can change. Things can fall apart in a span of 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
So that is no longer convenient. And there's also a whole lot of other factors that would play into that. Like, was your brand and your offer so compelling it held their attention through the 2 or 3 days of chaos in their life? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But one thing I really want these business owners to look at this is like, don't get offended by people not showing up. Yes, track the number because it's going to tell you if something's broken. But for the ones that no show, they're the number. It's just like marketing. I don't close 100% of my leads, just like I'm not going to get 100% of my applicants show up for the interview. It's the numbers game. It's part of business. And I'm okay with it because if they didn't show up, maybe I don't want to hire them right now. Maybe it wasn't good timing for them. But I will interview someone again who didn't show up to an interview. And that's the first question we ask. It's great practice. And it's also really insightful to learn why they didn't show up to your interview. So don't dismiss them just because either they're not qualified at that time or they didn't show up, because life changes and life evolves. Kids age into school, people get divorced, people move, you name it. But we have to stop taking it personal as business owners. It's business.
Yeah, I actually stopped.
I could just keep going.
I actually stopped when you had mentioned the kids being sick. If I had an interview, more than likely with my when she was 4, but now 6-year-old daughter, if she had the sniffles, if she had allergies, I probably would have put more importance on her, even though it wasn't major, than I would have an interview. I would be like, you know what, I probably got to stay home just in case something happens.
And people are going to ask, well, don't they need money? Don't they need to work? Well, yeah, but they also have probably 15 other interviews lined up.
Yep.
But in that moment, it was no longer convenient.
Yes.
Right. And so let's move on to the next before Libby keeps going on a soapbox. Keep going.
So we're talking about next is the length of the time since that they scheduled that interview.
And again, on this video, because we're running a little longer, we're talking about your show rate for interviews.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so using that same example of the parents, of the reasons why they might not commit, it not being convenient, same thing applies. Is the longer the span of time, and I think you might be able to really dive into this much more thorough than I could, but the longer the length of time, the more chances there are of something going wrong.
Yeah. So the longer the gap, it increases the likelihood that your candidate is going to lose interest, right? It's kind of like when we buy something. We purchase something, whether we buy a software, we buy something, we kind of get that little mini like adrenaline rush. We're excited.
Yeah.
But if the more time from purchase to activation between, the more doubt starts to set in, the more we start to question our decision. And so the more days you have allowing them to schedule out, the higher your no-show rate will be, because it's just the law of the world. There's more things going on. They could have more interviews in between. They could get an offer in between. They could completely forget about their interview, unless you have some automations running or some reminders. And for those that are using Calendly, they can't even reply to the automation of the reminder. So you don't even know why they didn't show.
Yeah.
When we updated WootRecruit to the new platform, we gave a custom number to your area. And the insight we got why applicants were no-showing was actually incredible, because we couldn't get that on Calendly. You can't communicate. You can't, I got a flat tire. Oh my gosh, my daughter's sick. Can I reschedule? You cannot get that on a platform like Calendly. And that is why we moved off of it, so that we could get that engagement and see what was contributing to no-show. That's not the only reason, but it was one of the key factors to really communicating with those people that were no-showing so we could learn from them.
And we're using that now. Again, it's all about data. It's all about collecting that feedback. And we're able to, inside of WootRecruit, take that and apply it. And not just apply it to one company, apply it to all the companies that we service to understand trends that are happening. And again, this is where this concept of the Profit Flywheel came through is, again, it's that feedback that you're getting from those applicants and just from the experiences.
Yes. So, we covered the time, convenient timing relevance. We covered the length of time since scheduling. So the bigger the gap, the higher your no-show rate. So squeeze it in as tight as you could get it. And then location relevance, right? If you're asking them to drive 45 minutes, it's going to contribute to your no-shows. You want to ensure that your office is located in a convenient spot, right? Because here's what I mean by this. If my office is in my service area, but all my applicants come from another area, my office is not in a convenient spot for my employees and my applicants. It's in a convenient spot for my customers. But as a lawn care company and a cleaning company and a commercial cleaning company, my customers never come to the office. So you need to pick a happy medium somewhere like in the middle so that the applicant, it's relevant, it's close to them, but also it's giving you good Google My Business location. But it's really important to look at location relevance because that highly contributes to your no-show rate and your show rate. We've had someone in WootRecruit who moved offices across town and seen a dramatic increase in no-show rate. So before you go get a new office, before you look for an office, do a market analysis. And if you don't know what that is, we do them at WootRecruit for our customers, but you can also buy a market analysis. Do one so you can see, is this a smart move?
Yeah.
Will this hurt my hiring? Because if you can't hire, you can't grow.
Yeah. Exactly.
And also that contributes to your current employees going to the office. They'll go more. I learned that lesson with my old office versus my new office. Anything else on location relevance, Chris?
No, I really think you hit it. We could talk all day on just, the nerdy stuff.
Yep.
But really the concept here to capture is making sure that looking at in their lens is, does this feel right to me? Actually driving through, even if it's 10 mile away, places like Denver or New York, those 10 miles could be an hour away, depending on the circumstance, depending on the time. And so that just might be a little too much, and that frustration builds up. And again, some things might be more important after that 45-minute wait in traffic.
Yep. And then the next one I want to talk about is personal connection.
Yeah.
And this is huge. This is something that you can do after they have applied and they've scheduled their interview. You can, personal connection can help with actually the location relevance. So if it is far, get chatty with them, like let them know that you're expecting them. But it's important to establish a personal connection with the candidates. It's putting in those emotional deposits, like Chris said, because they went through the process, then you do this, and then they do this. So it's got to be even. But it's really important because it increases the likelihood that they're going to show up and that they're going to feel a connection and they're going to feel engaged with the company. So there are factors that contribute to a high no-show rate with interviewing, but this study was done on actually onboarding.
Yeah.
But it's true for interviewing as well. And there's 3 factors that contribute to a high no-show rate, and it's new environment, new information, and new people. Right. And so the anxiety builds up, the unknown. Like if you're giving this awesome pay and you're in this weird location, it could kind of contribute to your high no-show rate because it may not look like a real job. It could be a scam. I mean, how many scams are going on out there?
Yeah.
So creating that communication and engaging with them really helps that candidate break through those fears. How can I personally connect with them? Is there a video I could send? Can I get chatty? So with the new WootRecruit platform, we have those custom numbers where, yes, there are automations and workflows in there, but it's also the ability for our customers to really engage with those applicants, talk to them, send them information, send them pictures. What does it look like in the day of a cleaner? Like, how can I engage with them on another level so that I'm injecting my culture into my words and giving them visuals Because here's the thing, everyone's a different learner.
Yeah.
Or just absorbs information differently. So give them a picture, give them a video, give them text to really help break those three factors that contribute to that extreme anxiety or nerves that are contributed to the high no-show rate.
And so the interview showed is the first point inside of this profit flywheel where you have taken off the training wheels. And this is the very first step to where you have now let them go, riding the bike on their own. There's no bumpers in place. Again, there's nothing in their way to stop them from deciding whether they fall, whether they keep going. Because again, we had bumpers like walking them through, hand holding them through. There's an application in front of me. I'm going to fill it out.
And we guide them through that with a video. Like it's very video guided. It's very self-guided on purpose to encourage the applicant to finish the process. But this, Chris, means it's the first step of them taking that extra initiative to take action.
You have let your hands off of the handlebars and let them steer directly. This is the reason why showed interviews has the lowest percentage, and why it's such a difficult one to grasp, because people are so frustrated knowing that 20% currently is the industry standard for entry level for interviews that show up. And it's because this is the very first instance for most people where they've taken their hands off of those handlebars and taken off the training wheels, and they've not put anything else in place. No bumpers, no strips on the road to figure out, what is straight and how to get there.
And so some people might just say they should show up. But what are your competitors doing to get them to show up? How are your competitors communicating and enticing them and connecting with them when you think they should just show up because we pay them to do the job? That they need a job, so they should show up.
Yeah. And so a lot of this focus then gets put onto the company to really double down on taking those extra steps.
To me, this is where my brand has helped us the most, 100%. And this is my brand of my own cleaning company. This is where that employer brand, which could be also your customer brand, will help you soar. Why? Because 82% of applicants will research your company before showing up for the interview. 82% will research your company before they show up to an interview. What are they seeing? Are they seeing a bunch of template pictures, a bunch of customer stuff? Are you holding up to the word that you said on that application? Like you're a people first company, you're this, you do cleaning for a reason, cancer patients, you mow lawns for free. Are you holding up to that on your social media? Are you holding up to that on your website? What does that look like? Or did you do kind of like that catfishing where it was a great ad, but when I looked at the company, it had horrible reviews, or it wasn't really in line with what they said. I didn't feel like that is the same company.
Yeah.
And so we're going to look at some show rates here. Again, 37% show up of the 43 who scheduled the interview. Here I have 74% schedule an interview and 83% of people show up. How did this person get this high of a show rate?
Yes.
And then this person here has a 30% show rate. And industry standards with cleaning is about a 20% show rate. Lawn care has a little bit higher.
Yes. And so I want to explain something here is the numbers that we give you in the graphs, this is all based on WootRecruit customers that we take care of. And we've worked through steps little by little to improve it over time. Because again, that's the goal of the account managers, is maintaining the health of their account and working on improving these numbers one by one. And so that's the reason why you'll see that majority of these companies all have, again, this is the most important piece, is that showed interview percentage is above the industry average. For some people, even the lowest percentage at 34% is almost double the industry average in terms of show rate.
Yes. And so we've done a lot of things. So one of the biggest things because this is actually my company stats, is what's contributed to our show rate. We have a very, very unique brand. We do not look like any other cleaning company, I think, in the world, anywhere in our area. So we are memorable. That is one. Two is we are constantly active on social media. When I walk in the office or they see me there, they think they know me. They're like, oh, I saw your video on Facebook. Oh, I saw your reel on TikTok. So we're very engrossed in social media locally And we talk about our employees all the time. I talk about them on my blog and on the podcast. So the other thing we do is we get highly engaged in the communication. We send them pictures. We send them video, like take a look at winter in the field. Here's what you can expect. So we get really engaged with that applicant to a level that I can guarantee you my competitors do not do.
Yeah.
And it shows. And so, when you have these things in place, and now those things I just mentioned cost us this much money, the effort of dropping a picture and a video and having those templates made and engaging with them and being active on your social media page and making sure that your website really does match that job ad. And if it doesn't, then write your job ad to match your company. Don't go take someone else's job ad. And then you wonder why everyone who's applying isn't a good fit. Well, we took someone else's job ad.
And then catfished them.
Because if you have like a super strict company and you don't have a lot of culture, that's fine. Actually, a lot of people like that. Mm-hmm. I would say we're kind of strict and we have good culture, but it's a weird culture. And we want very organized, structured people because we have to live up to our tagline and our 3 uniques, which is convenient, consistent, and caring. Mm-hmm. And so for us, but we're not sparkles and sunshines. We're different kind of culture.
Yep.
But just make sure that they're all lining up and that you're highly engaging with that applicant. I can't stress it enough to create that connection to, if you look like every other cleaning company, lawn care company. One of the greatest things, I was interviewing Matt Green the other day, and he changed his company from Green's Lawn Care to Blue Duck. And it's because he wasn't memorable. There were already like 10 green lawn cares in town. He was paying SEO for all of them. And so same thing with cleaning. Like there's no other cleaning company called Organize It with black and orange and white as the logo. I don't look like every other cleaning company. So we're memorable. We're like, whoa, this is a weird company. All of our pictures are in black and white on our website on purpose because it's different. So be that difference, stand out, and lean into whatever makes you unique.
Yeah.
Anything else on this topic, Chris?
No, I think you nailed it.
So, we want to make sure that you're creating those connections. However you need to do it, it's super important. Again, making sure that the importance to convenient timing, location, personal connections in your process will help increase each one of these steps to improve those show rates. Make sure you're using some great tools to help optimize this process or capture it. Simple things like Google Docs can help. And then, some key takeaways, Chris, on this. What do you think?
Really, some of the key takeaways here is just number one, first, is not to feel like 20% is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I want you to get that out of your head, is to think that 20% is a failure. It might just be that the way that you currently have things running with the system you have for recruiting just isn't working out to make it work for that 20%. So if you're looking to hire and you're struggling, it could just be that there needs to be other things before that step that need to be taken care of first. But I don't want you to stress out or obsess over 20%. But again, the goal being that you can make it significantly more. And this could be one of the biggest factors to impact and improve results.
Yeah. And one of the big factors that I forgot to mention is, confidence bias in that showed column and what can contribute to the no-show rate. So when an applicant is applying, right, we have to understand that the applicant might overcommit.
Yep.
In that moment of applying. They might just schedule an interview because it was in front of them. Maybe they didn't even check their calendar. Mm-hmm. So they overcommit due to overconfidence, mm-hmm. right? In the moment. Maybe it looked cool. Maybe it was fun, right? It's kind of like buying something. We get that little hit of a dopamine because maybe it resonated with them. But, they really overcommitted to the actual ability for them to attend.
Yes.
And so that contributes to the high no-show rate too, or show rate. And so at the end of the day, the great part of this is that we can fix all of it, mm-hmm. but we can't really fix all of it at the same time.
And this is a big chunk. And this is typically something that evolves over time. And it's hard because we help inside of WootRecruit, we do help to chip away at it little by little. It's progressive. It's not instant. But it can be instant if you have the right things in place, the right ingredients, and we just need to mix it all together in the right way.
Yeah, and remember, at the end of the day, this one, right? We talked about impressions, clicks, apply starts, actual applies past, scheduled interviews. But when we get to the showed interviews, which we just talked about, that is when we see our brand really start to resonate. Because like I said, 82% of those people that are going to show up to our interview or that schedule that interview will research us online. And are we true to our brand? Is it relevant, or are we catfishing them? Mm-hmm. So stay tuned, because on our next video, we're going to cover offers. So they showed up to the interview and now I want to hire them. I want to give them an offer. And what does that look like? Where does it drop off? What's the percentage rate I should be offering to candidates? If I'm interviewing 20, how many should I hire? So we're going to cover that in our next video. So stay tuned.